And me, as the MP from Sheffield Hallam,
Who
I'm
also
here
went
say,
to Eton, by the way.
that is beside the point. Point of order, sir. Point of order. That is not relevant. Yeah.
Order!
Sorry. Jeez, this is like the MP episode. I'm running out of MPs.
We love those MPs, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, just... Listeners, welcome back to the Lost in Postulation podcast. You thought you got rid of us. You didn't. We're back after a 1-week hiatus. I'm Nicola Volpi, and I am joined by somebody who, out of principle, refuses to watch the English Premier League, and yet he cannot resist the temptation to taunt and troll the English by beating them at their own game of Fantasy Premier League for the second year in a row. It's Neil Fitzpatrick.
Oh, yes. That is probably one of the most satisfying facts from the last year. I never did Fantasy Premier League before, but came into it last year and absolutely loved it. And watched maybe 1 or 2 matches the whole year. You don't need to watch the matches. That's the crazy thing.
And that's the irony of the matter, that I watch the matches. I'm hyper-competitive with it. You came in 1 year, swept the league.
Now, would I have done well if things like Reddit and Discord and, YouTube didn't exist? No, I would not. Let's be real.
But
I was riding on the coattails of others, standing on the shoulders of giants. But
and yet, you're you hacked it.
But this is now the problem with FPL, that unless you're playing draft, you can just follow. You can be a pure sheep. And they even show you the ownership of each player. So you can literally just sort by most owned and go bam, 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 bam. And you'll pretty much be fine.
Yeah. You're playing a rankings game as opposed to when I was in high school and we would play the NFL fantasy. It was just the drafts of your mini league or whatever, and it was head-to-head every week.
Exactly.
So you were really optimizing for the opponent you were up against, whereas here it's kind of like you almost want to match the opponents you're up against that are good.
Especially if they're good, you can't afford not to, because either you're right and you'll gain a small delta, or you're wrong and they're right and they will just disappear down the road because they'll have Haaland and Salah and like all the kind of template players.
Yeah.
Anyway, wasn't expecting to get so deep into FPL.
There's the nerding out, as
yeah.
Neil does with things. So even things he doesn't care about, he nerds out on it. So
100%.
Listeners, if you would want to reach out to us and potentially have your go at beating Neil at FPL this year. It starts next week. Write us in. We'll send you the code for some private leagues.
Maybe we do a Lost in Postulation league, actually. That might be a nice way to pull the community together.
Some banter there.
Yeah.
I mean,
let's see what the Venn diagram of our listeners versus FPL players is.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
I suspect reasonably strong overlap there.
Yeah. Well, and for that overlap, you can reach out to us on Instagram. That's at Lost in Postulation. You can reach out to us by email, lostinpostulation@gmail.com, with all of your postulations. And there's an app which I think is still called Twitter, but
it's branded as X.
But it's X without a little Tweety bird anymore.
So the X replaced the bird, but it's still Twitter. Yeah.
Amazing branding strategy there.
Genius,
right?
Yes.
I mean,
stroke of genius. Yeah.
I was trying to think. It's almost the equivalent of Coca-Cola changing the cursive on their cans and bottles.
Yeah.
Like, Twitter's been around forever now, 15 years maybe, and
feels like forever, yeah. It now has gone beyond parody and beyond a joke. So, like, previously, it's like when Trump was elected, like, previously it was easy to be a satirist because, like, there was always something to make fun of.
Right.
Whereas now it's gotten so bad and so ridiculously stupid that making fun of it is almost not funny anymore.
It's banal, right?
It's obvious. Yeah. It's like punching down,
Right.
So I feel like I'm no longer even interested in making fun of the Twitter dumpster fire,
No.
It's kind of sad now.
Yeah. Well, my bet coming truer and truer of Elon Musk self-combusting this year. Look at that.
Now, the only thing is he is still the wealthiest man in the world, I believe.
Depends on the day, right?
Exactly.
There's no cash there.
And I think there's a lot of Tesla driving that around as well.
Mm-hmm.
So is he really like in the dumps? Maybe not right yet. Because I just think even with the Twitter thing, he'll be okay, between the Tesla.
I think he'll be all right.
Yeah.
I don't think many people are playing the violin for him.
No, but he's not full cancelled, and he's not like going to just disappear from public life anytime soon, I think.
Probably not.
So I don't know. Yeah, let's see. But in any case, here we are back to postulate once again.
Well, back to actually reading out our Twitter account from this app with X, which is at in postulation, because they would not allow all those characters to write in Lost in Postulation. So
terrible.
I mean, if you can choose, don't reach out to us on that one. It's the one our summer intern monitors the least. So,
absolutely, that poor intern. Yeah,
that poor intern. Almost done with the summer. I mean, it's going to be tough
to
to
go
replace.
back to their studies. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Studies first. And Neil, being that it is summer, I imagine you've been around a bit, had your ice cream, your gelatos, if you will, from time to time. Hopefully you don't dabble too much in soft ice. I don't want to get into that.
Oh, I have a good... okay, sorry, go on.
Neil is very basic. It's very mundane, some might even say. Cup or cone?
So, this is actually a tricky one to answer.
Of course it is.
Because there's a difference between what I will always choose and what I know is probably the right thing to choose. You know what I mean? Now, I'm a cone all the way person. I was raised on a thing called 99s in Ireland, which is like, as you say, soft ice with a cone and a Cadbury flake stuck in the top of it. That's called a 99, right? And there's no cup culture in Ireland, if I can use such a grand term, for soft ice, or we would never call it soft ice, but like for a whipped vanilla ice cream, basically. Right. So it's always cone all the way. But
it's those like coppy cones,
right?
Yeah,
and very flaky, soft kind of, like not like, these premium waffle cones that you get here.
Right.
But I recently got all sorts of ice cream here in Copenhagen or whenever we're traveling, and it's cone or waffle all the way, like for me. However, from a dietary perspective and from a pure taste perspective, if you're a connoisseur of the game, probably you would be laughed out of any expert forum or conference if you were using a cone, because they'd be like, it's adulterating the flavor, it's distracting from what's important. And if it's like a super premium ice cream, actually probably there's a lot to be said for the cone. So,
I think so.
Do you hear where I'm coming down? It's like, I'm going to always get the cone or the waffle, for sure, because I just love it, and it just enhances the ending. Because obviously the enjoyment curve, it's like early peak, and then it kind of falls off. Yeah. But the cone helps that curve kind of stay flat all the way through. Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
I'm cup all the way. It's easier.
Cup all the way.
Yeah, it's easier, but also what you say, a bad cone can ruin a good ice cream or gelato.
Yeah.
Not the other way around, right? So I stay away from the cones.
What about toppings?
I haven't had the habit since I was a kid, I think, of the cone.
Okay.
But I think I spilled too many, and then I was like, you know what, this is traumatic.
I understand for sure, but so say you get the cup, then are you getting sprinkles, sauces?
No,
you're just one of those?
No, get out of here. It's
okay.
just the gelato itself, the quality,
Yeah.
2, max 3 flavors, no sprinkles, none of this. No.
And like a scoop of each? Yeah.
Yeah, a scoop of each. That would be my go-to.
And flavor-wise, what are we talking?
Flavor-wise, so I like a vanilla, right? Plain fior di latte if you're in Italy. Right, very underrated, but very difficult to do.
It is, and isn't it unfortunate how that word has now has adopted the meaning of, it's very vanilla. Like it's
right, yeah.
It's unfair.
Yeah, it is unfair. Also because we've had so many vanilla legends, like Vanilla Ice.
100%.
Yeah.
At least one. Yeah, I can't name another.
I mean, Vanilla Sky, the film with Tom Cruise.
Two right? vanilla-based legends that we know
that's
of.
Huge.
Yeah.
Anyway, so something is the base, right? A base scoop. Pistachio.
Yeah.
Done well. Can't find it everywhere, right? But, if you're in Italy at the gelateria, you're getting pistachio.
Yeah.
And then I like a hazelnut, something a bit creamier.
See, we're indexing high on the old nuts here.
Or chocolate chip.
Okay.
If you want to go fruit, I only do one fruit if I do, and it's strawberry.
Sorbet or ice cream?
No, ice cream.
Okay.
But only strawberry. You're not going to get me, on your mangoes, papayas. No, that's not for ice cream.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. Because if I'm going fruit, which I will often do, it's sorbet time all the way.
Yeah.
Specifically lemon.
Healthier too.
Is it? Yeah. That wouldn't even be why. I just think they're great. I'm just like, lemon sorbet is the dream.
Refreshing.
Oh, I always say when I eat a lemon sorbet, I'm like, whoever made this gets me,
Okay.
This is exactly what a treat should be.
You like lemon in general?
Oh, I love lemon anything.
I love lemon. I put lemon in so much of what I cook, but I never get the lemon ice cream.
Lemon sorbet. You don't need the lemon ice cream because there is a big difference.
Right.
One, like the ice cream is like, it has little bits. It might have rind and stuff like that in it, which I'm not a huge fan of. But lemon sorbet, oh my God. I'm going to get one now after this. If I can find one. If I can find a way to get a lemon sorbet after this, I'm going to get one.
Lemon sorbet, I mean, it's kind of the digestive dessert. It's like, I'm too full at the end of dinner at the restaurant. I'm going to order the lemon sorbet.
Yeah, it's not quite a limoncello, but it's not quite like an ice cream. It's somewhere in between, right? Yeah.
A best of both worlds, you could even
Absolutely
say.
Love it.
So
good postulation.
Neil Fitzpatrick, Mr. Cone.
Yeah.
The cone head.
And maybe not actually. I was going to give a shout out to a place in Copenhagen that does an absolutely insane nitrogen ice cream with waffle cone.
Oh, I know this place.
You know the one?
You can name it.
The problem is I can't remember
Something with East, isn't it?
Yeah,
the one on in Noble.
It's not Paradise, but it's like one of those. It's like an ice cream or something like that.
Yeah,
anyway,
something like that. Anyways,
I'll give them
for the two of you that happen to be in Copenhagen while listening to
exactly, and they didn't pay us for the shout out, so they don't get one. So there you go.
No, I like that. Yeah, right, business first.
Exactly,
business first.
We're a business first podcast.
Good. So that's Cup and Co. Neil, you threw something at me on the last episode about escalators.
Sure did. Yeah.
Right. And I told you that my go-to on escalators going up, depending on the circumstances, but 9 times out of 10, I'm standing. If I am walking, it's on the way down.
Yeah.
I was coming back from a trip a few days ago, and I observed in the subway another of what we call these anthropological studies, right, provided by our sponsors. And that's what I noticed, actually, that was like the core behavior. Was as people are coming down, they're more likely to trot down, skip a couple steps, whatever, which you could say is actually more dangerous than the other way around. Right? Safety hazard. And then they're almost always standing on the way up. I assume because it's more difficult to climb upstairs.
It's the lazy thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, that's one way to put it.
But I do think we're in an awkward, especially in Europe, we're in this awkward limbo where escalators are a bit too slow. So you're
right?
I think so, because if you go even to London, London has very fast escalators. If you're doing those huge,
and everyone's in a bloody rush on them, pushing each other out of the way.
Yeah, but on those ones, because they're so fast, it's almost too dangerous to walk. So everyone's just kind of holding on for dear life, you know. And when I was in Singapore, same thing, where nobody's walking because the things are absolutely accelerating up the hill or whatever.
I never thought about the speed of these things.
I think we're playing it very safe here in Europe, actually.
It must be.
There's probably some classic EU guideline where it's like escalator must operate at 3 meters per second or else, you know, or whatever, 1 meter per second or whatever it is, you know.
Yeah.
I know, and I'm sure that's like very well researched and there's good reason, but I do think we're losing time here. We're losing productivity for the economy.
Can you play that back in the voice of the Eurosceptic Tory backbencher from Eton?
So now, what we need to do now, first and foremost, right? Those EU banana straighteners who tell us how fast our escalators need to go, they're having a laugh, right? They need to go. We need to be twice as fast, twice as efficient. That's twice as much money that the NHS can use. Bam, Brexit.
Unbelievable. He's back. A round of applause.
Some kind of a meld there of a few different politicians. Nigel Farage somewhere.
I felt some Boris influx and cadence at some stages. You might not have intended it, but...
No, certainly did not. It was one of those shoot first, ask questions later impressions. So there you go.
Well, there you go. Neil, the Eurosceptic populist. Thank you for that. You've enlightened the listeners on the speed of escalators in Europe. And
I would be interested to know, actually, is there a rule about it, or is there like... is it just the way we are here in Europe? I don't know.
I think we need to pick that up on our next episode. Certainly. 100%.
Certainly. Love it.
So, listeners, we've got another doozy lined up for you today after the last episode on Australia. We encourage you all to go back and listen to that. Some funky accents thrown in there from time to time.
Yeah.
Some feedback coming in on those as well.
Damn it.
But the Aussies, they take it in stride. They weren't very offended.
They should have been pretty happy because it ended up, no spoilers, but they ended up doing pretty well in the rankings.
We showcased their country.
Yeah.
Did them honor.
They're doing well when compared to the other countries we've talked to so far. So,
absolutely. So everyone, welcome back. We're going to take a quick break and come back to you with a stellar episode.
And listeners, welcome back once again to Lost in Postulation, and as promised, delivering a stellar show as always. We're moving into our main topic of today, which is of course the OSGRs, that is the 1-star Google reviews. A recurring topic that we have, we trialed, we loved it, we've been doing it ever since. So far up till now, we've been visiting such beautiful locales as actually North America quite a lot, Australia a little bit,
a lot of New York,
exactly.
some West Bromwich in the Black Country,
we
Birmingham.
did, some petrol stations. So we've been all over. We've been in Wales, indeed. And the kind of the common thread here, I suppose, is they need to be English speaking places because the reviews need to be in English. That's kind of the.
But we've thrown in some Parises and very touristed destinations as well. Right?
That's true. We always as long as we have like a good glut of English reviews for a place, we can go there, we can check it out. And to remind the listeners, or maybe to induct any new listeners, the fun here is that Google reviews tend to skew towards either the very positive or the very negative. And when you find a place, out there in the world that has an overwhelming number of negative reviews, and it has like an average of 3 point something, you often the reviews do often skew into the comical territory, and at least they raise a lot of good questions for us to postulate upon, and that is what we are here to do once again.
No doubt.
Thankfully, we had the listeners to guide us this time as to where we should go and in what industries we should look into. So that is what we'll be doing. And I am here to kick us off with the first one. So the listeners decided, first and foremost, that we should go to 2 places. And that's because it was a draw, actually, in the poll, I think, on Instagram. Yeah. Amazing. So we are going to be going, first of all, to Cape Town, South Africa.
To the Cape.
Magical place. Have you been there?
I've been to South Africa, but not to Cape Town.
It's harder to get there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, could be.
You'd really, I mean, you're going to go out of your way. If you're anyway just going to Joburg, then
yeah, exactly. Joburg.
Joburg. Yeah. Who knows? But we are going to be investigating the wonderful world of dentistry once again.
Love it.
A topic very close to my heart, as the listeners will remember.
If you ever need a dentist in Cape Town.
Well, if you do, then you know you'll have one less on your list from this discussion. No spoilers, but it's not looking good. We are going to be visiting a wonderful place called Dentist on Main Observatory. Now,
okay.
The title requires some unpacking. So, Main Street is a place, Main Road, in fact, it's called, in Cape Town, which is in St. Peter's Square in Cape Town.
Lovely.
And from what I can see, there are 2 dentists on this main road. Called Dentists on Main. So it's the same. Dentists on Main has set up like 2 locations on this main road, and one is in a shopping center and one is in somewhere else.
Same ownership.
Because their website is like, do you mean this one or that one? So
fair.
They own the 2. The other one actually has pretty decent reviews, but bad news for Dentist on Main Observatory, this one. It's got an average score of 3.3.
Something's going on.
Not looking good for Dentist on Main. Now, 31 reviews, which is not like, it's almost not enough reviews to fully conclude. However, when you hear some of the complaints that I'm going to be telling you about, I think you would agree this one is not for visiting. Put it that way.
Okay, let's see.
So, Dentist on Main. I'm going to start with the shortest review of all, because sometimes the short ones are the best, and this review is a grand total of 7-8 words, right?
Okay.
Review here from Minimal X. So his name actually is very on brand.
Minimal. Okay.
He lives up to that name.
Okay.
1 star. Entire text of the review. These guys don't deserve to be in business.
Okay.
Calling it like he sees it, Minimal X.
Okay.
So
doesn't say why.
And he thinks, it goes without saying, but it doesn't. We need to dig a bit deeper.
Okay.
So I think I'll jump into the second shortest review I could find, also 1 star, and this is from Jordach Ramjit, who has 19 reviews, is a local guide, so should know what they're talking about.
Yes.
And a pretty simple complaint here, and a bit of a deal breaker from 5 years ago. He says, or she says, so I called through trying to make an appointment and inquire certain information. First, they tell me they're free between 10:30 and 2, and cleaning only takes 30 minutes. I asked for a 1:30 slot, and then get told the doctor will be on lunch. So, like, that is classic own goal of any business, where it's like, so anytime between 12 and 1. But we're on lunch. Then Jordich leaves like a parting shot saying, they have poor ratings and I can understand why. They are not patient focused. So
but a couple clarifying questions here. They didn't take the booking. They just said,
I don't think they went.
We're out to lunch.
Exactly. So far you could argue all of these 1 stars so far have been unfair against the dentist, because none of them have actually been to the dentist so far.
Well, maybe the Minimal X did go, but he didn't tell us.
True,
what happened.
Minimal has a lot of baggage that he doesn't want. He doesn't have time. He's too minimal. He's busy doing minimal stuff. So
probably
he's not going to get into it. But then Christina Cho perhaps starts to peel back the mystery of what's going on. She says, now Christina Cho, 2 reviews, so she only reviews when she's really upset, and she has done in this case.
Okay.
She says, I don't understand why this doctor always looks so tired. That's seriously not good for patients. And I strongly recommend people who read this to go to other dentists. So starting to form a picture now in our minds,
A tired dentist. So she calls him doctor, but dentist.
Loves his lunch at 1:30. Always tired. Doesn't leave a good impression, right? So we're starting to get a picture of what kind of person this is here.
He's probably working a second job.
You would think,
right?
You would think. Then, as I was reading through, I was like, right, I'm starting to form a picture. And then there's one very fun review that I'm gonna concatenate a little bit, just shorten it somewhat, just because it's the ending that I want to get to here on this review.
Yeah.
But Lungelo Gnocco, 3 reviews, 1 star.
Lungelo Gnocco?
Yes.
Is that his name?
Yes, as best I can decipher. I'm not very good at reading South African
Gnocchio
names.
is like the singular of gnocchi. You know?
Not when it's spelled like this, I can imagine. But but close enough. However, now these Google reviews are getting a bit meta because they're talking about the fact that it has bad reviews, right?
Oh.
So Lungelo says, I wish I read all these comments before I went to this place. Would have saved me so much money, time, and pain. I went there to extract my wisdom in 2 appointments and left with more pain than I did going in on both occasions.
Okay, but you got your wisdom teeth taken out.
Yeah. So let's say nobody leaves 5 stars for a wisdom tooth extraction. That's probably right. Then Lungelo spends a whole paragraph talking about the other dentists and how great they were. So no need for that. Let's stick on topic here. Then when I tell a doctor friend of mine, the team at Dentists on Main left me in pain in a chair for a good half hour, he was so shocked.
Okay.
And that's not even the craziest part. The craziest part is that after all was said and brackets not done, these guys still had the I don't know what to tell me to come back for fillings. Surely not. And now Lungelo was reaching out to the reader directly and says, this isn't one of those it's 3-star, could go either way places.
Oh, wow.
Don't risk it. Trust the other reviewers on this one. I messed up big time by not coming to these reviews first.
Okay. Wow, so, Lungelo really getting meta, as you said.
Yeah.
Lungelo, I don't know where I'm landing on this yet because...
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I don't know if it's fair.
I'll give you a sprinkling of 2 more reviews, and then we'll hear your final word.
I've got my wisdom teeth taken out.
Well,
all 4 at once.
Okay.
Total anesthesia. I suffered.
Even with the total anesthesia?
Well, after I was in pain. Yeah.
Okay. But can I also preface this also by saying, when you go Cape Town dentists, actually there's a load of very well-reviewed dentists. I had to do some digging to find these really bad
scrolled
ones.
A lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So apparently either they're buying fake reviews or the other ones are getting good reviews, broadly speaking. I don't know why.
It's a cutthroat world out there.
I guess so, but maybe it's the aftercare, maybe it's the how you're handled that also plays a role. Like that's where the good reviews come from. I don't know. But let's jump into Shan Stride, who is a local guide with 20 reviews, 1 star a year ago. I visited this dentist because it's really close to my house, mid-early Jan 2020. Didn't need to know that, Shan, but thanks for the context nonetheless. I definitely do not recommend this practice. Do not is in capitals. Upon entry, I noticed the room was quite dark and messy. Lots of stuff all over the work surfaces. It didn't look sterile and neat, like one might expect from a medical room. I was under time pressure, so I went forward with the appointment. So Shan is now kind of preempting the haters and saying like, who were going to say, why didn't you just leave? She's saying, well, hold on now. I was under time pressure. I'm a busy lady. So,
yes.
Okay.
She lives around the corner.
She lives around the corner, but she could have gone, she has a busy schedule.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But I went for 1 small filling, which I knew was a developing problem. The dentist advised that I needed several fillings, I think 6 or 7. I allowed him to do 2, but said I would get a second opinion on the others. I had reservations and didn't trust the situation. In hindsight, I should have just left immediately. And she's really, repeating herself now. And then, surprise, surprise, I went to another dentist who told me that there was nothing wrong with any of my teeth at all. I have some tiny stains in the ridges of my teeth, but these stains are 100% not cavities in any regard. A qualified dentist would know this, just normal discoloration. So she concludes, either these guys don't know what they're doing, or they're just trying to make money off people. Anyway, either way, I would avoid at all costs.
Okay, well, here what worries me the most is not... Because it's obviously not the first dentist that tells you need procedures you don't. I mean, some of the greats of dentistry do that,
some
right?
Some of the goats, actually. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
We know a few.
Yeah.
What worries me there is the first part of this place isn't clean.
Yeah.
It's not sterile. And you're getting things put into your mouth. That's not ideal.
That's not ideal.
That's not an ideal dentistry environment.
And to that point, that explains why we have some other reviews where people are coming away with infections or coming away with like a worse situation.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
no.
Andrew Guarpa here, even just 5 months ago. So this is still a problem ongoing. 1 star. Went for a filling, paid 1,100 rand, I guess. A whole week with sore mouth. I went back the following week and suggested that the only way is to remove the tooth and pay another 400 rand. It is now a week and a half, still drinking pills to relieve the pain. My lips under the tongue infect. Every part he injected is painful. So Andrew is in so much pain that his writing drifts off into the incomprehensible.
God, yeah. It becomes hallucinating, man.
Yeah, it becomes a very sad rant.
And
Andrew. This is the first one that the practice has responded to, actually.
Oh, here we go.
Well, I don't want to
disappoint you,
now. But they haven't responded to any of the previous ones, right? So
Okay.
they apparently have just ignored those. But 5 months ago, they do respond to this one, and they say, "Good day. Kindly contact the practice manager, roberts@dentistonmain.co.za." That's it.
Okay.
So none
Taking
of
it
this.
offline.
This is worst practice, by the way, for any business owners. Like, you need to, in these responses, you need to say, "Hi, Andrew. Sorry to hear about your problem.
Yeah.
For clarity, this was an issue that we have had, blah, 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 blah."
Right.
They don't do any of this. So
Or go for the jugular as a restaurateur in Brussels.
I would almost rather they did that. Yeah. Because if what we're lacking here, and what I always love to see, is those vicious replies.
Right.
But unfortunately, Dentists on Main is not interested in entertaining us here.
No.
They just want to run their reasonably poor dentistry, let's say.
So what I'm noticing a theme that a lot of these people didn't go in, let's say, for their routine tooth count or routine cleaning. They're borderline surgery / emergency procedure / I need to get this done like a filling.
Yeah.
I would go as far as to venture that the owner of this establishment does not care about returning customers because he's on such a busy street where he will always get these, emergency
kind of walk-ins,
walk-ins, right? As long as they don't happen during his lunch break. Fair enough.
Fingers crossed.
Dentists need to eat, man.
They, 100%.
Right? Just like us.
I cannot hold
They
that
need to
against
test their own teeth. On
what.
something.
They do. Yeah, exactly.
So
Always.
I think they quite frankly don't care. So they're like, let's go with the lowest cost to serve possible and keep getting people in. And let's also assume that most people, unlike those heroes at the Lost in Postulation podcast, do not check reviews before going to a dentist on a busy street in a big city.
Yeah, and we did see that in the comments, in the reviews, many people were saying, "I wish I checked." So, I mean, that does show you, like, a lot of people are just going because they're like, Googling dentist, they're here near me. Okay, cool, I'll go. So I suppose, it still raises the same question, though, that we had previously, which is like 9 out of 10 dentists recommend something. Is that because it will bring them more money because it doesn't work? Or is it because they have their heart in the right place, And again, like this, does it serve the dentist to do a bad job so that everyone has to keep coming back? Or will word get out through things like Google reviews and their business goes under, It's a tightrope balance.
It really is.
That every dentist must strike,
You don't know who to trust anymore in the dentistry world.
Exactly. Especially, I was thinking about this with the second opinions thing, right? Because imagine we're both dentists, right?
Yeah.
And my patient goes to you and goes, "Hey, Dr. Neil said I'm going to need 7 fillings, 2 root canals, da da da." What are you going to say, first of all? Absolutely not.
Right.
You don't need those. He's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Because then I can get your day-to-day business.
Exactly. Because you go, "Stick with me and you'll be totally fine."
Yeah.
And the person goes, "Oh, I'm relieved. I'm so vindicated.
Right.
I was right all along. This person was terrible." And then what are you going to do? 7 fillings, 2 crowns, 2 root canals in your studio instead, in your clinic,
just
right?
a year later, maybe.
So I don't even believe, not only do I not believe in dentists always doing what's needed, I also don't believe in the other dentist who tells you, "Oh, you actually didn't need that after
There
all."
are no heroes in this game. This is like FIFA fighting UEFA.
It should not be a for-profit industry. That's what I'm
Oh,
realizing.
wow. Okay. This is
just as I
a
sit
big
here.
shout.
It's
This
like
is
prisons, really. It's like
okay.
like they're necessary. They perform a very necessary service,
Right, but they shouldn't be private.
like the health industry in the US. Sorry to fire any wayward shots here, but like the more profit you introduce into this, the more incentives just get completely thrown out of whack. Now, this wasn't where I needed to or wanted to go with my 1-star Google reviews here, and yet here we are.
Probably you need to draw a line between cosmetic dentistry on the one hand, right, where you can probably keep that private. I mean, that's like the good to haves, and the nuts and bolts of dentistry.
We know,
cavities.
I think we've gotten far enough now with modern medicine that we understand how poor dentistry and poor dental health can lead to other significant health issues.
Decay all over, man.
Massive. They can lead to like serious blood infections or like brain issues and like loads of things. And how is that not covered? How is that not part of any modern society's healthcare system? I don't understand.
Can we get that as the labor backbencher now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jeez. What accent do they have? They're more like, it's a disgrace that we can't offer dental care to people in this country who are badly in need of it, who are sick on beds in every hospital up and down this country. And I mean from Berkeley to Northamptonshire. I don't know. I'm just
This
picking.
is lovely. You are the MP from Sheffield Hallam.
Yeah,
I believe,
exactly.
With that accent.
And me, as the MP from Sheffield Hallam,
who
I'm
also
here
went to
say-
Eton, by the way.
That is beside the point. Point of order, sir. Point of order. That is not relevant. Yeah.
Order.
Sorry. Jeez, this is like the MP episode. I'm running out of MPs.
We love those MPs, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, just a show all the time.
So now we have 2. We need to keep building the
so-
lore.
is going to be a bit more difficult. Okay, I think the S&P, there you're going to throw on a Scottish accent.
This is where I'll fall down. Yeah. Let me come back with an S&P when I've had some time.
we don't need it today, they can...
Yeah. I need to like find a not offensive Scottish accent because everyone goes with Shrek like straight away.
Right, exactly.
But you gotta, it's more about finding the nuanced Scottish accent.
As we did with the Australian.
Exactly.
The last episode.
Exactly.
Or we like to think we did.
Should we just rename the podcast to Impressions of People? Like at this point, it's
lost in accentology.
Just to accentology. Sorry. So a little bit off piece as usual, but here we are at the end of my 1-star Google review segment. Dentists. We don't like you, or at least we're mixed feelings about you right now.
And what about our dentist on Maine? Do we support the ratings, or should he get more fair shake?
I believe that data does tell a story, and whether it's due to what we heard, whether it's the reasons we heard, or whether it's something entirely else, that the vibes were bad, the receptionist was mean,
right?
Something's not right. I'm sure, and just like we had with every one of these, I'm very sure that if you just even walked in the door, you could within 2 minutes be like, yeah, I see why,
Yeah.
And I get that all the time with restaurants. When I walk into a badly reviewed restaurant, within 1 second, you're like, yep, I see why. Yeah.
Still a firm believer in Google reviews after all this time.
Yeah, as long as I'm not given evidence to show that they're clearly manipulated, like I did in Bali, where it was like, wow, every single place is 4.9 and amazing from everybody who only leaves one review. Just then it's obviously fake. But if I can get the sense from reading the lowest reviews, that if the lowest review is like super nice, one time was a bit late for the appointment, but otherwise good, then I'm like, okay, then we're going.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair. And Neil, the other location our listeners wanted us to go to for these Google reviews is one that's very dear to your heart.
Go on.
Neil, we are going to Baile Átha.
Hey, there we go. You got
Did
it
I
ready.
say that well?
Yeah. Baile Átha, yeah.
Baile Átha for our non-Irish speaking listeners is Dublin, Neil.
Yeah, for all of our listeners, actually.
Exactly.
That is Dublin.
There you go. In the Irish language, don't call it Gaelic. How'd I do?
Very well. Any Irish person would have said, yep, I know what you mean. Baile Átha. Yeah.
Wow. I've been practicing most of the morning. So.
Dublin is actually one of the rare cities or towns, I suppose, in Ireland where the Irish translation has nothing to do with the English translation. And that's just because the original name for Dublin in Irish was Dublin, which translates to a dark pool or like a black pool even.
Like a black pool across the coast.
Not to be confused with, right? But Dublin is then anglicised to Dublin and there you go. But most places in Ireland are just literally some English person listened to the Irish name and like bastardized it, for want of a better word.
Okay.
But like Cork, for example, is Corkig in Irish. Galway is Galiev.
Okay.
Donegal is Dunanal.
Okay. Yeah.
So some surveyor, some census dude was like, yeah, I can spell that, and just turned it into some mumbo jumbo English, and that's what became the English name of places in Ireland. But anyway, there you go. Long story. But
that's great.
Here we are in Dublin, Baile
Átha, and that would explain actually this bastardization of this place we're going to being called an airport.
There you go.
Which is
that's the
Irish
opposite way around.
Okay,
where airports didn't exist in old Celtic, so they didn't have a word for it, and therefore they just take the English word. Ireland and Irish is a bit like other small country Europeans where they are determined to make up their own words for modern things.
Right.
So a website is, of course, not a website. It's a Sieve Iderlín. And a skateboard is not a skateboard, but it's a chlórscotala.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So
Chlórscotala.
Yeah. Which literally means board of skating, But
lovely.
There's a commission who is responsible for coming up with these new words.
To keep the language alive.
But it's the same here. I think it's the same in Lithuania. Like all countries who are like, say 5 million or less, they have to actively work hard to make sure that their language doesn't get anglicized too much.
It is endangered, right?
Yeah, and I see that. But anyway, so this would be, Erfurt is an example where the commission in probably the 40s got together and were like, okay, we need a word for this now. Yeah, and there you go.
And for our non-linguist listeners, Erfurt in this case means airport.
Well done to any of you who guessed it. That was a stretch, so you've done very well. Yeah.
So, Neil, we're going to the Dublin airport in your old stomping grounds. I imagine you've been there quite a few times.
So many times, and let me tell you, it's not a banger of an airport, but...
well, as a Google review average rating, it's a 4.0.
I'm impressed that I got above 4 or just even got to 4.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I have a postulation before we get into this specific airport. Yeah. My postulation, I would argue that reviewing an airport is the closest you can come within the universe of Google reviews to reviewing a country.
Whoa. Yeah, I see it.
You see what I mean? It's your point of entry. It's your point of exit.
Yeah.
It's where you at first get your first impression of what are the people like here? Are they hospitable? Are they not? It's where you get your first impression of the country's investment in infrastructure, for example.
Oh,
what they prioritize, what they don't, their rhythms, if the baggage claim is very efficient or if it's very slow. An airport.
It's where you would start to get the sinking feeling. You know, if you've if you've arrived somewhere and you're about to be negatively surprised, that's when you would start getting the feeling of
At the airport.
oh no, okay, this country is actually not as organized as I thought. Yeah,
Right.
100%.
How about that? So
Very good point.
let's see what the reviewers have to say about the airport in Dublin.
Dublin airport.
Ergo, Ireland as a whole.
Wow, this is a huge postulation, actually.
Is this huge?
Yeah.
So the first one, and it's quite a lengthy one, so bear with me. This is from Padraig Seif. So Patrick, I think, but spelled Padraig, right? Padraig, you would say. Okay.
Yeah.
Padraig Seif. Padraig Seif is a local guide with 289 reviews. And not all of them of the airport.
You would hope, yeah.
You would hope. I don't even know if you're allowed to do that.
No, certainly not.
So Padraig, this from 4 days ago. This is like Podrick from Game of Thrones? No, that was Podrick.
Podrick. Yeah.
Podrick, okay.
But you know, we know how George R. R. Martin, he was naming characters with one letter different from an English. Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
So Podrick, this airport, its architects and operators are all sad.
Sad?
Sad, he writes.
How do you mean?
Space, sad, period.
Do we know what Podrick means here, or is this...
No, not yet.
Okay.
But then he enlightens us further on.
Please.
Terminal 2 was planned much too small. From day one, the queues at check-in were outlandish and reminded me of Hanoi Airport.
Okay.
When the IT system broke down.
Okay.
Then it never occurred to anybody to connect T1 and T2 so that interchange may be possible.
Well, I mean, they are connected. It's just a 15-minute walk. But yeah, fair. Yeah.
That's like my house being connected to yours.
Exactly.
The queues at security are notorious, and now the airport is cashing in on the shortcoming by offering, quote, fast-track passes, unquote, to buy. Fantastic business model, semicolon. Create misery, and then sell the medicine for additional fees.
He's not wrong.
In fairness, these days, the queues at check-in are non-existent for obvious reasons. Yet the operator continues to do a lousy job. Queues for security lanes become outlandish and snake halfway through the terminal building when there are more than 5 people flying at the same time. Some hyperbole there.
Let's keep it in the real world, okay? Let's no need for that.
Podrick, really a showman here.
Yeah.
Immigration clearance upon arrival takes hours. And please don't tell me it's because of COVID. Other airports with far stricter rules do a much better and quicker job. You've got guards harassing the poor souls that want or need to fly, making a mockery of our free society. And now you've got the defense forces arsing around the terminal instead of building hospitals.
You've lost me there, Patrick. Sorry to say. He lost me from the start, but now I'm even more lost. Yeah.
And then he finishes with, in one way, the airport shines.
Oh.
It is a fantastic monument to Irish underachievement. Grand idea in theory, but spectacular failure in reality. As a user, it is better to be leaving through the airport rather than arriving at this shambles.
Yeah, and like the thing is, I actually agree broadly with what he's saying. You know,
okay.
I just really take issue when someone has a good point and then they turn up the exaggeration to 100. Because you just lose, like...
You gotta sell reviews.
But you lose all credibility. Like, if you're going to say it takes hours to get through passport control, I guarantee nobody has taken more than 30 minutes. Like, say 90% of people get through in less than 30. And, most people get through in 5. Like, the thing flows through pretty fast, you know? So, he has very legitimate concerns about the airport. And I 100% agree that it's a shambles versus other modern cities in Europe that have an airport with a rail link, for example.
Right.
But... I don't enjoy when I'm hearing a review and it's just like, it takes 3 days to get through security. You know, it's just like, yeah.
But there's more than five
people fly. It's like, yeah, okay. But valid concerns. Security has gotten a lot better because they got absolutely just destroyed for it in the media. Politicians started intervening because it was that bad.
Really?
like post-COVID, summer 21, it was hours. You had to be there. They were telling you, please get there 4 hours.
Embarrassing.
Yeah, just ridiculous.
And not just there. I mean, we had it with many airports in Europe, right?
They couldn't hire fast enough, and then they had to security clear the staff, and that takes time. So it is what it is. But Padraig, I would have been so much more on your side here if you had just kept it within, the realm of reality.
And what about kind of his conclusion here of it is a fantastic monument to Irish underachievement?
I don't enjoy that. And Padraig is an Irish name, so I would love if Padraig,
a local guy,
could have a little bit more national pride. And it's a monument to Irish bureaucracy and red tape and NIMBYism. You know what I mean by NIMBYism?
No, I do not know.
NIMBY stands for not in my backyard.
Okay.
And Ireland is, and particularly Dublin, famous for NIMBYism because the laws lean very favourably towards objection to planning permissions.
Okay.
So you can make a project. So you're going to...
parochial planning.
Exactly. So you're going to make a rail link to the airport, right? So every citizen that's going to be impacted gets the chance to say, no, sorry.
To veto the whole thing.
And they basically always do.
There you go.
The fact that we got any sort of light rail system built like the Luas is a miracle in and of itself. Okay. Somehow that happened. But... every expansion to the Luas, every link to the airport gets completely shot down and vetoed, and therefore we have no rail link to the airport.
Well,
do the taxi lobby have a role in this? Perhaps they're also making bank off it. But anyway, that's how things stand right now. Terrible, embarrassing. More reviews. Let's reviews.
Let's keep going. After Padraig, it's E. Groenendael. I imagine he's Dutch.
Danish. Or Dutch even. Yeah.
Terrible. Trying to be an airport but failed big time. No one is laughing, helping, or giving proper information. I imagine he wants to say smiling instead of laughing, but we'll go with it.
Maybe he's being dramatic. He's like, no laughing children. No, it's exactly. Like painting a really grim picture, yeah.
All the amateurs who are working here had a training in avoiding any customer or answering questions. What a failure. And he proceeds to post a picture of the back wing of his Ryanair flight. Symbolic.
It is symbolic, isn't it? But this is more my concern. It's like we Irish people can kind of put up with the airport because we're like, yeah, it's crap, but whatever. But it is a bit unfortunate that the first interaction and the last interaction that every visitor has is this kind of underwhelming.
And it's national airport, right? Yeah. It's the biggest in the country.
Exactly. And so many companies have come to Ireland and established their European, like EMEA headquarters there.
Right.
So all of their bigwigs, top dogs, like all their CEOs, they all have to come in through Dublin Airport. And it's just like, oh, geez, yeah, sorry about that.
Well, and this was also a local guide, E. Groenendael, with 75 reviews. I imagine local, probably more to Amsterdam or the like than Dublin. But there you go. And we keep going with Capraru Allen Catalin.
That's a name, yeah.
Is it an Irish name?
I would probably be able to... I can say no with 99% certainty, but... yeah, I would say that is a Catalonian name.
Okay, could be.
Barcelona vibes.
Okay, there you go. One of your favorite cities.
It is.
Another local guide with 28 reviews.
Yeah.
I can't understand nothing over the speakers with 1, English/Irish accents.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Dublin accents as well, yeah. Oof.
2, lack of some kind of audio tune signaling announcements.
Yeah.
And 3, the echo in these terminals.
I know exactly what he means.
Not a great place to record a podcast?
No, jeez. Okay. Woof.
I missed a flight on 7-Eleven on the 7th of November 2022 because of late departure and changing the boarding gate. Yeah. Update, 2nd of August 2023, a few days ago. Yeah. It almost happened again to a friend. Same flight and terminal. Dublin Airport didn't change anything.
I love the coming back half a year later. It almost happened again. Like
to a friend.
Yeah, but I know exactly what they mean because the way the announcements happen in Dublin Airport, because there's no chime, everyone's been trained to tap on the mic a few times.
Oh no!
So you get the.
Oh,
excuse me, there's going to be a change in the terminal. Like they just rant off it through, and they do it, of course, in a very. It's not automated. You know the way in Copenhagen, it's like the 8:29 flight. It's nothing like that. It's all just a voice, manual voice. And they just rattle it off in as quick as you could like, So I actually fully understand that one, and that's not a problem I had even thought of. So yeah, very good point. That all needs to be fixed.
So why did he miss his flight though?
Because probably what happened was there was an announcement where it went terminal building, and then he'd be like, what? Sorry,
what? Yeah.
Where do I go? What's happening?
They changed his gate without him knowing.
Exactly. Okay. So then he might have been wearing headphones, or he might have, But anyway, he wouldn't have understood it if he heard it, and then he's like, I guess I'll stay here, and then the flight takes off from somewhere else.
Not a great service.
Not amazing.
Capraru a recommendation from me, always get the app of the airport you're at or of the airline you're flying with, because they update the gates in there, Capraro. So I don't know.
Yes.
I might give a 1-star to you, Capraro, for not having done that ahead of time. Next time you fly, use your phone.
And he won't make the mistake again, let's say. It was a learning experience. And when it almost happened again, it was to a friend, right? So maybe Capraro has learned a valuable lesson here in, what's the word, like fail-safes, in having a backup. Yeah. In redundancies. But yeah.
Another local guide with 78 reviews. All the local guides going through Dublin Airport. Roro.
That's it?
R-O.
Okay.
That's the name.
Cool.
I pass through the Dublin airport security quite frequently, and it's ridiculously overpacked. I'm sure many, quote, third world, unquote, airports are better organized.
Easy now. Steady on, Roro. Jeez, okay.
Are better organized / less crowded than this god-awful airport security.
Harsh.
She capitalized the G in God.
Yeah.
The overcrowded nature of the airport security boggles my mind, as when I pass through Heathrow or Gatwick Airport, which are in a city with a higher population than not only Dublin, but the entire population of Ireland.
No need for that, but okay. Yeah, go on.
Uncalled for.
Yeah.
Their airport security, regardless of the time / day of the flight, is better organized and less crowded. That's kind of saying something, because at Gatwick, it's not fun to go to that.
No.
Dublin airport security staff. She's speaking directly to them.
Oh, they're reading the reviews in there. Yeah. Okay.
You'd hope. Please do better with organization. Said please. Organize the queues better. Give people space. Make sure nobody skips queues unless their flight is delayed. And please, just make sure to get it done. Don't send people's bags back just because, quote, it didn't scan, unquote. Clearly, it did. I have clothing / chargers / keys, not bombs or weaponry.
Thanks for clarifying.
Classic airport complaint.
Good of you to clarify. But,
She's not finished.
Oh, sorry. She's gone.
The machines we pass through can easily detect any weapons / machines, and the machines' bags pass through can also. So it's futile to search our bags unnecessarily when all they contain are clothing.
Well, Roro, if that was true, they wouldn't have to do any searching at all. But
it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, and also though, I think Roro should probably acknowledge the fact that we all know this is theater, right? It's security theater. No actual
easy there.
No, but basically, right? It is like if anyone is actually on some sort of mission, they will find a way to do it, and they won't involve themselves in the airport security whatsoever. But like you can smuggle whatever water, like no problem. You just need to do a little bit of like stashing it in your bag, and it gets through half the time. If you forget. So Roro's expectation that like, hey, this thing is like, not catching any weapons and blah, blah. It's like, yeah, we know, like nobody actually thinks this thing is effective. I think anyway. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I think it's all for show, but it's good for show because it shows, security is high here. You better not try anything, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's all good. Well, that's the Dublin airport. So would you give it, after all the airports you've been to, how many stars would you give it?
No. So, because there's one massive, massive saving grace for Dublin airport, which brings it from 0 to hero, in my view.
Go for it.
Dublin Airport is responsible for one of the most successful case studies ever of trusting consumers, because they launched a €1 water bottle scheme with an honesty box system. And it was studied by economists. That was part of the...
I've seen it in other airports since.
Dublin Airport started it.
Wow.
At least that's what I've been taught and what I've researched about it.
Okay.
So Dublin was the first airport to launch €1 water bottle honesty box system. And of course, they did the measure of how much do people steal from the honesty box system? Do they just take the water? And 95% or more actually pay at least the amount that's asked, which is €1.
So it wasn't like an offset of a few guys throwing in a 50 instead of a 1 to balance.
It could, and so they know that there's no way of seeing, 1-to-1
right,
who's paying what. But what they can see is there are some people putting in 20s and 10s who are just getting rid of their euros or whatever. Maybe they take 10 bottles, maybe they don't. But on balance, it's a phenomenally successful experiment. Also, just to validate the suspicion that humans are broadly honest people, which is a nice, heartwarming observation.
It's beautiful.
Tear, shedding a tear
always.
But mainly because this is a breakthrough, I think, for all unattended retail, where it's like you can actually make money and not lose money, even though people could steal. You're giving them the invitation to steal, basically, and they're still doing the honesty system.
Most people are honest.
Exactly, at least in
Wow.
airports. Yeah. So that I think was an amazing experiment, and it's still going today. You can still get a water bottle for the princely sum of €1. Where do you get a water bottle for €1 anywhere these days?
Wow, okay.
They're €3 in Brussels Airport.
Yeah.
They're €3.50 or something here.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great service. There's also a water fountain if you want to use that. If you've just emptied your water bottle,
Right.
etc. But I have to give credit there to, I guess it was Dublin Airport Authority, or I don't know who, but that was a really, really cool experiment that worked and has been copied now in other airports around the world. So
That's lovely.
fair play to Dublin for that one.
An innovation center. Not really their job.
Absolutely not. And would I rather have they focused on building a better terminal or improving security? Yes, I would. But nobody's perfect. Someday, very soon, all terminals, all security will have those new machines where you don't have to take out your water and
Right,
it just all go
exactly.
through. You don't have to take off any clothing.
We've been through them ourselves.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, they're coming. And I think UK is leading the way on that one, but Copenhagen
Yeah.
Airport has a few.
Amsterdam is almost all those now.
Yeah, Amsterdam also. Yeah. So anyway, these security things are going to be a thing of the past in the next 10 years, I'm sure. But in any case, yeah, maybe Dublin can up their game in the meantime.
Well, I'm looking forward when we travel to Dublin for our live show there next year. Listeners, more details to come on that.
Yeah, more details when
flying
we
into this airport.
when we plan it and make it happen. Yeah,
Exactly. Well, there you go. That was the Google review segment. We
One
did
star.
have
Oh, yeah.
one more to round out with, which we got sent to us from loyal listener of the podcast out of Vienna,
Hey,
the Austrian capital. Your favorite place in Austria?
certainly not mine, but it is the number one apparently best place in the world to live right now.
Every year, crazy.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah. So, listener Bjorn
Yeah.
from Austria, not to be considered with Bjorn from Sweden,
Yeah.
he sent us this review of a chip shop in Walsall.
Mm-hmm.
So, taking us back into the Black Country where we had visited the Worley Superstore a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
1 star a month ago from Gurdev Singh Bal. Awful. Worst chip shop in Walsall. Paid £7.60 for a kebab. Hardly any meat. Naan was burnt.
Oof.
Rubbish. Never going there again. To which the Sheffield Fish Bar owner replied, "I'm sorry to hear about your Naan. I hope she gets well soon."
Always looking on the bright side.
Yeah.
And I think, wasn't that one where the guy did spell Nan wrong? He had spelled it
Exactly.
N-A-N. So he opened the door there for
Exactly.
a clap back, and he got one.
It's lovely. That's the type of Google review banter we love to see.
Actually, you see it a bit around here. There's a place near me, it's like a nail bar, and it's in Danish, but the sign outside says, "Come in and get what one reviewer described as the ugliest nails she's ever seen in her life." So some businesses are kind of leaning into it as
Okay.
we're not concerned about these bad reviews. It's obviously them that's wrong.
Wow.
So there's another example. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Good. So, listeners, we're going to take a quick break, come back with a little bit more of mailbag and some recos. Listeners, welcome back to this final part of the episode. Starting off with a mailbag. And, Neil, do you hear that?
I hear some.
Do you hear that?
Yeah.
It's Roy's Corner! Before we cut to a break here,
Yeah.
loyal listener Roy from West Virginia /Chicago /Cleveland, he
Changes every time.
keeps us on our toes.
Yeah.
We never know where he is. He was just in Lisbon as well. He wrote, not stop at Morocco.
MVP of our mailbag right now.
Unreal. This might just be rebaptized Roy's Corner because and she would be the best navigator with all the investments she has made in Cruise, GM's autonomous drive. Just stuff. I'll cover
of
one
the
here.
world,
Exactly. Roy wanted to write in about Morocco.
Oh yeah.
And he said he had been to Morocco in 2019, was not very impressed, would not recommend it, and went as far as to say he just didn't really feel safe there. But it gets worse. He said it was medium vibes.
I think he said mid vibes.
Mid vibes, yeah, that's right. This might just be rebaptized Roy's Corner because back with a postulation, or more a comment about playgrounds, saying that the merry-go-rounds are a hard sell. Not stop at Morocco.
MVP of our mailbag right now.
Unreal.
That's pretty
I
strong.
think Roy from Chicago's gunning for our jobs here.
I'm kind of seeing this as a CV application for LIP chief broadcaster. This is huge.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I said, disgusting, no loyalty. What do you have to say for yourself and for me?
I'm now becoming accustomed to Roy's use of hyperbole, so I'm not gonna get overly worried about it.
First one here, Roy from Chicago. A warning, Roy didn't really he followed some of the rules, but then he just started drafting everybody as a wild card. So he went full nuclear here, off-piste. Roy, for musician/author, he goes, I'm going to throw a hybrid. David Blaine.
Yes.
He goes, leader. Now, Roy, master of current events, chooses Zelensky.
Yes.
This might just he's back.
He is once again back, Roy, with another postulation for us.
Yeah, Roy, for listeners that don't know, well, you will get to know him because he's an avid postulator and an avid pain in our...
Keeps us honest. Yeah.
Definitely. So, as listeners will know, if they don't, you can go back and listen to the last episode. We did Pop Culture Country Tier List on Australia last episode. Roy had something to say to us. He goes, I think it is outrageous that you settled on a 3 for film for Australia.
Film and TV, to be clear.
Film and TV.
Yeah.
Good point
This
to
is
clarify.
This is important for later. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whether or not you claim Russell Crowe as Australian, there are actors there who have carried the box office for the last 30 years there, with another 10, 20 years domination in the books. It's predicting. You forgot to mention the lead actor in Avatar, Sam Worthington, which was the highest grossing film of all time. And then he puts in parentheses, I question the impact, and if it's really a movie you want to sit down and rewatch. Okay? Then, there are the level 2 box office hitters, who come in and steal the movies they are in. Joel Egerton, Hugo Weaving, Guy Pearce, Rose Byrne, who was the comedian whose name I couldn't remember last episode, Tony Collette, and Ben Mendelsohn. Pretty sure we mentioned Tony Collette, Roy.
Did we?
Well, I did.
Yeah.
Because my whole point was I didn't know she was Australian.
Oh, okay. But then, I know, I recognize it, but I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So he goes on to finish. Strip that aside, Margot Robbie is currently responsible for a movie theater renaissance with Barbie. Hugh Jackman is synonymous with Wolverine. Russell Crowe hasn't put out a good film since 2017's Nice Guys and still gets remembered as one of the greatest actors of a generation. These are impacts that take you to the next level and deserve a 5 on film. Roy.
Okay.
You want to take it?
Oh, well, I'm not totally in disagreement. I do think that we were light on actors, right? As you can hear, there were many that we didn't even mention, right?
Right.
But remember, first and foremost, this was film and TV, right?
Right.
So if it's getting a 5 here, it means that both on film and TV, it's having like a massively outsized impact on the world. Let's say America is an automatic 5, for example.
Right.
Now, with Australia, yes, those are all good actors. However, can I argue that unless you're like quite a big film fan, I don't think you're going to know every name on that list that we just went through.
No.
And quite the opposite, in fact. I would argue that for the average film goer, if I was to pull someone out of Barbie, and after they say Margot Robbie is awesome, and I go, what do you think of this guy, this guy, this girl, this girl? Go through that list, right?
Yeah.
I actually do think they might, if you didn't show them the picture of the person, they'd be like, who?
Oh, definitely.
You know?
Yeah.
So great actors, don't get me wrong, and certainly more than E.G. Mexico, right? Where we really struggled on.
And we called Kate Blanchett the Meryl Streep of her generation.
Well, I mean, we gave some great cred, right? Now, the other thing is, TV-wise, Australia is actually a bit weak, as we talked about, right?
Definitely.
So that has been one where we're kind of missing. Director-wise, we had like 3, I think, that we could really call out and talk about.
Yeah, and I did call Baz Luhrmann a poor man's Wes Anderson, so that didn't help the rating.
Huge take. No, certainly not. So what I can offer, right now, I'm not offering any change to the score. The score is what it is.
Hey.
But I could see a way to it being a 4. Because of that depth in the strength in depth on the bench of actors there, that we have a lot of actors who are big. Margot's huge currently, and we have more who are coming through. Okay, I buy that, but it's not a 5. Come on, a 5 is reserved for the best of the best, top tier.
Yeah.
There's nothing higher than a 5. So if we gave Australia a 5, what are we going to give US? What are we going to give UK? Like these places who are producing like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of actors, directors, etc. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I love the postulation. I love the ferocity of the postulation,
too.
Roy, as ever.
Yeah.
Strongly held views. Love that. Where are you? Are you broadly in alignment or?
Well, if you remember, you were leaning towards a 4 and I was leaning towards a 2, and we settled on both giving 3s.
There you
So
go.
I
So
stand by where, if anything,
you were under fire here. I was
I
maybe a
think
little
so,
bit less under.
'cause you
under
could have
fire.
gone 4, and I brought you down to a 3.
Well,
so,
we agreed to disagree, basically. Yeah.
So it's on me. I mean, I just think the directors didn't pull their weight. That's part of it. And TV nowadays, with its importance for pop culture, you got to be doing more on TV.
You have a Sarah Snook at least. That's one Australian who's
We
out
didn't
there.
mention Sarah Snook in the whole episode.
That was a big miss on
after
our
praising
part.
her for a whole season of podcasts.
Quite a big miss on our part.
Wow.
So yeah, this might be one we look back in time and say, well, maybe we're a bit harsh.
We'll
but
throw a little asterisk next to it for discussion later as we do more countries. I think that's fair. We didn't mention Sarah Snook. That's
a big miss.
Yeah.
But Roy didn't call that out either, in fairness. Although
That's
he was focusing on film. But
Yeah.
still.
okay. Well, there you have it.
Well, thanks for the mailbag once again.
Yeah, for
Nice.
Roy's Corner.
Roy's Corner, new segment. We love it.
Good. Neil, let's just round out with some recommendations.
Yeah,
What have you
we're
been
enjoying
doing?
this. A nice way to kind of wrap up these episodes in a nice kind of lighthearted way. So the only one I was going to do was the obvious recent Barbenheimer craze, right?
Of course.
And you, as we've talked about, you can't weigh in on them just yet. You haven't seen either.
No, I was on holiday in places they were only dubbed in a foreign language, so not our films.
Not ready to watch it in a dubbed language, I agree. So what I will do is no spoilers, just my own. Which one should I go see if I have to pick one, right? And the answer won't surprise you because we've talked about it, but some of the listeners may be intrigued to learn that for me, every time Barbie beats Oppenheimer. In every 10 times out of 10 flip of a coin, like
Big call.
You should see Barbie before you see Oppenheimer. If you can only see one, go see Barbie. It's way better. Barbie is way better than it has any right to be, I would say. And even better than the trailer, way better actually than the trailer makes it out to be.
Okay.
The trailer has for some reason picked some of the least interesting, least funny jokes and pulled them all together into a compilation, right?
Yeah.
So I went in with really low expectations thinking, great, it's going to be 2 hours of this kind of SNL style humor, but actually no, it couldn't be further, and it has a lot to say. Some of it doesn't say brilliantly, but like it's a real movie basically. It has lots to analyze. It's very dense. You would actually need to watch it 2 times to really get at least, I think, to get all of the subtle nods and references, of which there are many, and it's super enjoyable, great fun, funny.
And Greta Gerwig, a great director, so I'm actually not surprised now that I think about it. There was a lot of stigma around it being a movie about what we perceive to be a toy doll.
Just a cash grab, I think, was because that's where your mind goes when you hear there's a Barbie movie. But it's way, way, way better than I expected. And maybe my low expectations is why I enjoyed it so much, because I was so pleasantly surprised. And the exact inverse can be said of Oppenheimer, basically. That I went in expecting, cinematic caviar. I was like, oh, this is going to be the best film I see this year. It's going to be absolutely, it's Nolan at the height of his powers, Cillian Murphy. And honestly, I'm interested to hear once you've seen it so we can get into it in depth. But the short answer is I would question why this got made, or why this film got made in its current form, in this, with this script and this length and this runtime and this like series of events. To me, is not an interesting film.
It's the second Nolan flop in a row, you could say.
Yeah.
Chris, overrated?
These days, geez.
Overcooked, at least.
He's treated like he's literally the number one right now.
Right.
And he has no right to be. He's done some great, like The Dark Knight, he will always have a place in my heart. But no, he needs to get away from these like PS5 game style movies like Tenet and get away from these like, 3-hour dialogues like this one, and just do something that is actually interesting, that has something that's like something to get excited about as you watch it. Yeah, for one thing, show me, like, give me any opinion that you have about people and the human condition, because this film lacks it, I would say.
Okay,
maybe that's a burning postulation, but in any case, that's where I'm at. Barbie all the way, and that's my recommendation. Did you have one to lead us off?
I'm gonna go see Barbie now, that's for sure.
Yeah,
and I will have to see Oppenheimer, out of respect to you having invested the time in doing it.
Thank you.
I have 2 recommendations. First one, a book. The Shards by Bret Easton Ellis. Bret Easton Ellis,
yes.
American Psycho.
Great lad.
You know, well, he's been, you know, controversial and all of this over the years. He was the enfant terrible of American literature for many years.
Yeah.
His first novel in, I think, close to 20 years.
Yeah.
Coming out with The Shards.
He's been taking a little break.
He's been doing a lot of podcasting, like us, actually.
Hey, well,
so there you go.
That's a full-time job.
Exactly. The Shards, it's got everything you need as far as a thriller. It's got serial killers, sex, drugs, rock and roll. It's brilliantly written as a memoir.
Okay.
It's a novelized memoir about essentially a character called Brett, like the authors.
Cool.
Last year of high school in LA at like a rich prep school, etc. And things go all over the place. He does all his little tricks with the unreliable narrators, all of this.
Nice.
It's 700 pages, which you stay up all night reading.
Wow.
Like, really brilliant. And which, it's the type you would like, because what did I spend the next 2 days doing? Going into all the Reddit threads to figure out who was this, who was that, what happened here, and just basically reading another book of Reddit threads.
Yeah, it's a thinker. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I think I was burned a bit by Bret Easton Ellis because I read his first novel, Less Than Zero.
Less Than Zero.
And that was, tough. A tough read.
Yeah.
It has certain parts of it that are a really tough read, I would say.
He wrote that while he was finishing high school.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So,
I mean, I'll give him some slack then for that. But, like, I need to go back now because I have kind of abstained from him since then. So, maybe it's time to
definitely
get into
worth it. I mean, it gets graphic, it gets uncomfortable, all of these things.
That's what he's all about,
literature's got to make you feel, right?
Yeah. And
so that's my recommendation for some even summer beach reading, whatever you want.
What little summer there's left, please.
Right, exactly, depending where you are in the world.
Yeah.
And then my other recommendation, Neil, actually, this is something you recommended to me that I started watching with Maria, and we are blitzing through it. We're a few years late. The Peaky Blinders.
Yeah. I mean, everyone loves it, right? There's very few people who actually hate it. It's so popular, but...
I held off for now. It's been recommended to me, I think, since it started in 2015. I was no.
Yeah.
Starring your man, Cillian Murphy, with a Birmingham accent.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Amazing.
Like,
I need to watch it.
It ticks all the boxes. When we started it, I thought, I don't know if... Because it's something we're watching together, Maria, my wife, and I was like, maybe this is, too violent for her, or usually we merge on things like Barry, for example, right? She loves it even more than me. Today she's like, it's been 2 days since we watched the last episode. Come on, like finish recording your podcast, so we can. And for you and all our Irish listeners, it's got this steady backdrop of Irish history, which is fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I have no excuse.
Hyper complex, actually.
Yeah,
I don't think most of the
watchers.
The viewers, the watchers, have any clue what half those things are, but it's so interesting to delve into, what is all of this? Why are they calling him Ulsterman and all of this? And, it's quite fascinating.
Yeah, I think I need to add it to the list.
It's an interesting period of history across the two sides of the Irish Sea.
100%.
At that time.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So, watch it. I mean, for us, it's on Netflix. It was a BBC show at the time.
Originally.
So,
I think it was around that time where everyone was trying to make the next Sopranos, kind of.
Yeah.
So you had Boardwalk Empire, you had Breaking Bad, Peaky Blinders, all coming out around the same time.
Yeah.
So, and it was like leading man series, and it was
anti-hero.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of lost it a bit because I was more of a Breaking Bad fan at the time when it came out, and I just never got back to it. But there you go. I will dig it up. Yeah.
And if I go to see Oppenheimer, it's because of your man Cillian Murphy. Unbelievable how charismatic this guy is.
Oh yeah. He steals any scene he's in. Yeah.
Eyes glued to the screen.
He has those eyes himself. Those
really
insanely blue.
It's very also unique features in his face. Something you appreciate a lot with your friends like Mads Mikkelsen, etc.
Talk about a legend of the game. Yeah. Inscrutable features. Something that you can't look away because you're just like, what's going on in their head? And Cillian does that very well. Yeah,
absolutely.
So well, there you go.
There's our recommendations
and a bumper episode for the listener. So you're welcome.
You are welcome.
More free content but
more things for Roy to come at us for.
Exactly. Look, we've set so many traps now for people to pull us up on. But there we are. We're at the end of another LIP, Lost in Postulation experience. Any parting shots for the listener?
Thank you for your patronage. We are coming either next week or the week after with something quite different. We're having a guest on the pod. We're having an interview with someone from Hollywood.
We sure are. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
So trying something else, bringing a third voice on the show for the first time ever. So let's see how it goes. And your feedback as ever is very welcome. Was there something you liked? Would you like to see more of it? Then, of course, let us know.
Keep providing it via this app, still known as Twitter, but with X as a symbol.
Exactly. X us.
So long, listeners.